Why is India building a 1.5 lakh core? I think it has an extra R. Does it actually have an ROR? Is that really how you okay. Mega project near Pakistan. Why?
Just 1 kilometer from the Pakistan border, India is building something no other country in the world has been able to achieve.
It sounds like the auto-dubbed Sandman. It sounds like the auto-dubbed Sandman.
Mega project with 1.5 lakh crore rupees, 5 times the size of Paris. But the weirdest thing is, if you look at satellite images, you don't see any mega structures, but rather microstructures like tiny chess boxes in the middle of a desolate desert, India. But these microstructures are going to predict India's future every 15 minutes. Gaining access here is extremely difficult. Multiple security layers, tourists not allowed, journalists not allowed without approval. But when we got access, we understood the whole story, y'all. Just look at this huge widescreen. Even many space agencies don't have such widescreens.
Nope.
Before we begin, it's important to dispel a major myth of us Indians. Tell me, what is most valuable to a country? Money, data, or healthcare? Wrong, wrong, wrong. Let's do a small experiment. Now, just hold your breath for 5 minutes. What can only 5 people do? Why not? Brain dead, heart dead, body dead. Because every breath creates ATP, the body's energy currency, the Bitcoin. Now scale this experiment to an entire country. July 30, 2012, India. One night, 22 stages in darkness. In blackness, 600 million people simultaneously without electricity. The largest blackout in human history.
Worst blackout in the history of the planet. More than 600 million people across India was thrown into darkness. 400 trains stopped. Delhi metro shut.
Hospitals on generators. Traffic signals. Dead water plants shut. India's subways are stopped. And no air conditioning and 100-degree weather today.
Trains remained where they were parked. Wheels of trains got jammed.
But the most dangerous accident in West Bengal and Jharkhand, 200 miners got trapped 700 meters underground in heat, suffocation, and darkness without ventilation. 8 hours, a switch fell. Entire part of the country stopped, and just one night's loss was ours. 1,000 crore, despite backup systems.
Markets have gone down 10%. If they go down further, you will see today trading will stop at 10%, and this decline is increasing.
In 2022, in the world's 3rd largest economy, Germany also, as soon as the
You got an ad, I'm guessing. You got an ad. Because
Russia-Ukraine war started, 24,000 companies went bankrupt.
Nearly 24,000 companies are projected to file involuntariness by the end of this year.
Germany became the only G7 country to experience 2 recessions, even though Germany had a lot of money. Because money, which we consider real currency, is actually just an accounting system. Or the real currency is energy, which brings about real transformation. Iron ore becomes steel, cotton becomes cloth, code becomes apps, ideas become factories, factories become GDP. You're watching this video. Energy is your AC. Energy is UPI payments are being made. Energy is your metro is running.
Yeah, because again, what makes money have value? Well, the value we put to it. It's just like, that's the thing with like Bitcoin. Bitcoin is literally the same exact thing as money. It's just people are having, or cryptocurrencies, that would be the term, cryptocurrencies. It's the same thing as money. It really is, because it's a fictional number that people have put something to it. The second everyone thinks the dollar has no value, it has no value. It's because we have instilled a value to the dollar. It has value. Like, how are we trillions of dollars in debt when we're the one printing the money for ourselves? It just, what really has, again, it's something, no matter what, we've never gotten out of the bartering phase. Because you can't get something from nothing. You just can't. So we're always trying to barter, trying to transition, trying to, you know, I went out, I hunted these squirrels. Can I trade you these 2 of my 4 kills for a bale or a bale of apples? And then you take the bale of apples to another. It's just, it's always there's always something continuously.
The energy is your heart beating, and that's why, if you look at history, every superpower first secured one thing: energy. Britain seized coal, Russia seized Baku's oil, and the United States secured its own sources. Even the tiny Netherlands of 1600 didn't become the world's richest country solely on the basis of wind energy. Historically, energy was always secured first, and only then could empires reach scale. These aren't stories, but fundamental physics. But India hasn't passed this test yet. In fact, in the 17th century, India went from being a golden bird to a struggling nation because, in a major way, it focused more on the trade of textiles and spices rather than energy. While the West focused on coal,
You
the result was
typed
that
it
from
by
1750 to 1900, India's contribution to world industrial output fell from 25% to 2% to 2%. Meanwhile, the UK's industrial output increased from 23% to 62% of the global contribution during the same time period. And today, India is writing checks worth millions of billions. Every year, 89% of the world oil is imported mostly from Russia and Iraq. 50% of natural gas is imported mostly from Qatar. 23% of coal is imported from Indonesia and Australia. 60% of LPG is imported from the UAE and West Asia. Why? Because the biggest problem is that at the ground level, just look at India's energy consumption pattern. Our transportation runs on oil. Cooking relies on LPG. Industries on gas. And power plants on coal. India is the world's third highest energy consumer and importer. We are fragmentedly dependent on not one, but 4 different fuel sources.
Most nations only utilize one, like China primarily utilizes coal. The natural gas, I primarily think is like in Canada's natural gas. Crude oil is the United States. Like every single nation normally heavily utilizes one more than others because there's no point in investing in too many, because if you have too many energy sources, that's just a problem. That's just a massive problem waiting to happen. So you focus on one until one's spent, then you can transition to another. Yeah, but India utilizes like every single one. That must be incredibly expensive.
Naturally, if we have 4 different permanent solutions for 4 different fuels, how will energy independence be possible? And so the question was inevitable. What could be the solution to all 4 fuel level problems? Well, one interesting element is electricity. Because the physics of electricity is quite interesting. It's not a fuel in itself, but it exactly functions as a fuel. Just as English is a universal language used in most countries, electricity is a universal energy carrier that can be used in most applications. So, that's how nice. Electricity could become India's common energy currency, produced from all types of fuels and used everywhere. What's CPIDP? But even here, the answer isn't so simple. Today, we're already the world's 3rd largest electricity consumer. However, according to an IA report, in the next few years, India will have to add as much demand as an entire developed country, the UK. Just look at your own life.
Yeah, it's fast forwarding. It's a big first world power. But yeah, it needs the ability. That's the thing. I never actually thought about what fuels India has. Like there is a massive amount of oil on U.S. soil. I think it's actually one of the largest in the world, but the U.S. doesn't want to utilize its own oil. Like Texas, California, Alaska, so many states have oil refineries, have oil right underneath the soil, but it's not utilized and not tapped into because the U.S. just, like, I know California doesn't dig at all, but they want to purchase it from the rest of the world before they start digging in. And the funny thing is, by the time the world no longer relies on like crude oil, the U.S. will be the only place with crude oil, and no one's going to want to buy it because nobody's going to need it at that point in time. No one's going to need it because we would have evolved and moved on to another source of energy. Hopefully. You can always hope. But the fact that there are multiple different sources of energy proves that we're always changing, always adapting. But yeah, I've never thought about it. Like, India doesn't really have its own oil refineries, does it? I think India could really go far if it doubled down into like nuclear fusion. There would be a massive amount of power just from that. I think it's one of the other than the isotopes, but India could literally designate like one space for like the isotopes, have a plan for it, or just launch them to Mars. Get rid of them. But yeah, that would be a huge thing, and any excess they could use elsewhere. Because I am huge on nuclear energy. It's just everyone's against it because of what happened in Japan, and it was a tsunami, hurricane, and something else. It was like 3 things, because there's like 3 layers of safety in every single nuclear silo, and one thing caused one thing to go bad, the next thing caused the next thing to go bad, and then something else caused the last thing to go bad, and then it just malfunctioned.
Your next phone will be battery-free. Your next car will be electric. Your next
Lithium
office will be
reserves?
AI-powered.
Do they use them?
Your next hospital will be automated. Your next city will be an IT hub. India is heavily electrified. But wait, there's more. In the Paris Agreement, India confidently committed to generating half of its total power capacity from non-fossil sources by 2030. India pledged to achieve this by 2030. Now, this sounds almost impossible. Did India just say this out of confidence? Is it even structurally possible in our country? Oh, how will so much clean and cheap electricity be generated on a large scale that too independently every year. Currently, we have limited options. For example, nuclear electricity is powerful but slow, expensive, and complex.
India has no choice but to use coal for much of its baseload power. Nuclear is an option, but the cost will be twice as high in terms of energy.
Hydroelectricity is clean, but extremely slow in approvals and scale. But here's the irony. The raw material for the energy we're writing checks for millions of crores rains down on our land all on every day. Free, without invoices, without penalties. The sun pours as much energy onto the earth in just 1 hour as 8.3 billion people use in an entire year. And look at India's location. It's a country nestled in the tropics. Geography has given India a hidden superpower. India receives more solar irradiance or sunlight than 90% of the world. But before you get too happy, this is where another illusion of yours will be shattered, Yosan. A united civilization like India doesn't need raw sunlight. It needs controlled, reliable electricity, and there's a huge difference between the two. Now, this is an engineering battle the whole world is struggling with.
Well, I think like the storage would be number one. You need, like, I think every nation needs to have something in place where you have a backlog of power. So you have that necessity there for when you need something else. It can function kind of like if you're wanting to if you're like living in an apartment, you need at least 6 months of savings saved up just in case you lose your job or something happens. Guess what? You can still live your life as you plan for what's next because you have that extra 6 months. I think nations need to utilize that as well, where like power is backed up.
Welcome. The U.S. bet on solar farms in the Mojave Desert. Harsh weather and unsustainable economics destroyed it $1.
2.2 billion solar plant in California, Hawaii, and California.
North Africa built a $7 billion Sahara desert to supply power to Europe.
What the heck
Today,
happened
it's on the
there?
verge of closure. Sunlight was there too, but it couldn't be converted into reliable civilizational infrastructure.
One of clean energy brightens the $400 billion price tag of investors. Things went from bad to worse. Today, only 3 of the former 20 shareholders are left.
This is India's true test. Can India turn its desert into a power bank for the country? And can this power bank secure the pulse of its next decade? To find the answer to this exact question, I've come to India's most extreme desert, the Kutch Desert, where the Adani Hara Renewable Energy Park is being built by the Gautam Adani Group. 538 square kilometers, 5 times larger than Paris, boasts 60 million solar panels, 770 wind turbines, and each turbine generates 5.2 megawatts of energy. The world's most...
I think the real problem is keeping them clean. Because the second they start to collect dirt and everything, they become a problem. How will they keep them clean? Like, that's where most solar panels start to fail, is the buildup. Is there going to be designated teams that go around cleaning, like just the solar panels? They'll constantly cycle through every day, wiping off the dirt, wiping off the buildup. When you get it wet and you're cleaning it, the problem with being in a desert and, oh, the wind's blowing, yeah, it's going to start collecting the dirt that you need to remove the all the water from it after you've cleaned it. What steps are they going to take? It's just going to be difficult. I'm curious as how they're going to solve that.
Powerful onshore turbine has a target of 30 gigawatts of energy. When completed, this single project could power countries. But my real question was, is this massive infrastructure working reliably in reality, or is it simply a joint venture like the ones in Mojave and the Sahara? Because Khavda's real enemy is none other than Khavda itself. It's being built in India's most hostile place, the Kutch Desert. Daytime temperatures exceed 50 degrees Celsius. Solar panels are made this way, with 60 to 80 feet of surface area. The panels have to last for 25 years. Furthermore, this is open ground with strong winds, and the soil here is loose and salty, a destructive combination. Imagine if 1 millimeter of dust adheres to millions of panels every hour. How will these cells absorb sunlight? This was the failure point of America's Mojave Desert, and washing isn't even a question, as Kutch is one of the world's driest salt deserts. That's it. Furthermore, if the weather changes, the grid becomes unstable.
Robotic
what if night
cleaners?
falls or clouds gather?
We'll see.
A news report in The Independent described the land of Kutch as impossibly flat, salty ground, a no man's land, where not even a cell phone signal can reach. These are not normal engineering challenges. They are literally a constant struggle for survival on harsh terrain. And when it comes to survival, the logic...
So they're just scraping it off. They don't use water, they scrape it off.
of organisms prevails over the logic of engineering or technology. Just look at yourself. Your body is so beautifully designed to adapt to your environment. A yak can survive in the mountains, a polar bear at the North Pole, a camel in the desert. These creatures aren't made up of a single part, but rather they're organisms made up of different organs. And this is what inspired the Adarik of the Renewable Energy Park, and I realized that good engineering doesn't challenge nature, but rather copies its logic. Teorías and primas. Using this logic, we'll see that 9.4 gigawatts of energy capacity has already been installed here at 10.
Just for context, a nuclear power plant produces 1 to 1.5 gigawatt. But at this moment, it's producing 8 times more electricity than a nuclear power plant.
Look beyond.
As far as your eyes can see, Kashidi, Park is just that area producing 2 gigawatts of electricity. We can't even see the land that's 4 times larger than this, where these solar cells have been planted, and 3 to 4 times more is coming.
Things are much beyond.
It's weird.
I hate how the audio keeps cutting out.
This isn't a drawing on paper. It's an organism growing on the ground with its own organs. With its own organs. Organ number 1 is skin. Solar panels with trackers, but not arm panels. Double-faced ones that absorb 30% more heat. And just like a sunflower moves towards sunlight, these panels literally chase the sun 180 degrees laterales. They even capture the reflected light from below.
The sun's direction is there. That's why you'll
On
see
the
it's
white
now
sand.
it's facing this way. But there are hinges on the back side, and those hinges are algorithmically controlled. So basically, if the sun is on that side, its direction will automatically change to this.
This means that Khavda Renewable Energy Park doesn't wait for sunlight. It hunts sunlight. Organ number 2 is the immune system. Waterless robotic cleaning. Dust and dirt are not soil for solar panels, but viruses that slowly cause blackouts. A 1 millimeter dust layer reduces the panel's efficiency by 30%.
Yeah, this is the part I was curious about. Because this, like, the solar panels on the roof just go bad. You have to keep them clean. And the problem is when you wash them, it's just as bad because they get the buildup of dirt, especially in like the middle of nowhere, the agriculture. It just creates more dust on them because it sticks to it and makes it even darker and thicker.
A thin layer of dirt on each panel puts the light of many homes at risk. On Khavda's scale, this is a blackout of cities. If Khavda cleaned with water 10,700 million liters of water would be wasted annually. This would basically be a moral failure. And that's why Khavda's immune system, without a drop of water, has robots fighting dust every few minutes and
it's a solar
self-charging
panel
themselves with the
robots.
same solar energy.
As you can see, it's robotic because this farm is so large that no one could just water it with a hose, and it couldn't be washed with water, and too much water would be wasted. That's why it cleans automatically.
This is Khavda's immune response. Bonus number 3 is stone columns and corrosion protection materials. The loose soil and salty soil of Kutch would eat away normal steel from the inside, so engineers installed stone columns within the desert. They converted the loose soil into a load-bearing foundation and slowed the salt attack with corrosion-resistant materials. This is how they created a strong exoskeleton. Organ number 4 is their brain, which is their AI-powered control room. Khavda has a control room in the center. The building from the outside, the brain from the inside, monitors every panel, inverter, wind turbine, and grid data. But monitoring alone isn't enough. Reacting to an energy problem is delayed. And that's why Khavda doesn't live in the present, but 15 minutes into the future. Weather forecasts, satellite imagery, wind speeds, plant data, everything is predicted by the AI model.
Look, all the parameters are visible here. Can you see how much energy is being produced? How are the transformers performing? Everything you can see over here, and the employees here can also basically control it. So a real-time operation is going on here. And gigs of energy are being produced.
The system literally predicts how much sunshine will there be in the next 15 minutes. How much wind will there be? Will output spike or drop? This brain predicts the future so that India's present remains stable. Organ number 5, the stomach. Its stomach serves as a reservoir for large batteries. The most vulnerable time for solar
Storage. You always have to have storage. You always have to have that.
energy-based systems is a nightmare when energy generation is practically zero. But hospitals and cities don't shut down at night. Therefore, extra power is generated during the day and stored in batteries.
As soon as sunlight hits the solar cells, that energy is converted into DC current.
If Pakistan attacked that on it, then what will we do then? That's the thing is there, like I was just thinking about that because if a massive storm comes in, there needs to be at least another center on the opposite side of India. Far enough away to when the storm, would it touch both sides? Possibly. But as it's ending on one side, it'll be clearing up on the other. or it'll be just hitting the other one. So that way there's always constant energy, and there have to be like defense mechanisms put in place by the government. Even if it's individually run by an individual, it's the lifeblood of India. Power is what makes it continue. Power is what makes it flow. You constantly need power, especially in this first world issues. You need power. You can't survive with a blackout.
By broken pie, which is then converted to AC and stored here.
Furthermore, Balfour's biggest disadvantage becomes its biggest advantage, the wind. Because look at these massive windmills, and for what? Solar shifts during the day and wind shifts at night.
Just to put it into perspective, how huge this is, it's unbelievably huge.
Khavda isn't gambling on a single source, but rather creating energy, redundancy, and finally,
end game is
organ number
nuclear power,
6,
yeah.
arteries.
Like, I still think nuclear power is one of the cleanest, even though it has the isotopes after the fact, because there are so many cases, like it was in the Mojave Desert where they were having birds dying in the air due to the reflection of the solar panels, literally cooking the birds in the sky, and they were falling down and hitting the solar panels. But that just tends to always happen. It tends to happen. It's ridiculous. But yeah, it's going to end up having that problem as well, where you have the birds cooking up there. But yeah, nuclear power is one of the better options. And the more it gets utilized, the more efficient it will become as people crack down and fine tune and just make it better and better and better.
And substations and transmission lines. Power was generated in the desert, but India doesn't live in the desert. India lives in homes, hospitals, factories, and cities. If electricity were generated in Khavda and stuck there, it wouldn't be a miracle, but a museum. And that's why substations collect and stabilize electricity. They store 4,500 MVA of energy at a time. Transmission lines carry electrons from the desert to India's interior. In the first phase, a single line here is transporting 3 gigawatts of electricity. Energy doesn't become power until it reaches the end user. So, does the story end here? Khavda has conquered the Kutch Desert? Well, you've missed a major blind spot. What good is this organism if its organs aren't under Indian control? If the panels come from outside, the cells come from outside, the wafers come from outside, and the machinery comes from outside, is this organism truly Indian? The true meaning of energy independence isn't just about producing independent electricity dependent.
Animals
It's about
have roasted
controlling the
birds
entire
for eating,
ecosystem
yeah.
that produces and stabilizes electricity.
Or the workers on the field, as they're walking through, they'll just see a nice little snack come by.
So is India now moving from oil dependence to solar dependence to solar dependence? Well, this is where the story of the Adani Khavda Renewable Energy Park connects with Mundra. Khavda is India's energy organism. Agreed. But every organism can survive and evolve independently, only if it possesses a critical component, an intelligent blueprint called DNA. Just as DNA decides an organism's design, repair, growth, and evolution, Khavda's DNA is building an end-to-end manufacturing ecosystem in Mundra, Gujarat. The Adani Mundra Solar Technopark Limited facility is not just a factory, it's India's attempt to control the solar value chain from within.
Okay. Get the parts and make it themselves, or just have it all themselves.
So India manufactured only 8 gigawatts of solar modules in 2021. In 2025, India will reach 144 gigawatts of 12-fold jump, solar program full jump, and solar imports at 12 minus full jump to 2.1 billion, 2.1 billion 5. Without much noise and headlines, India is making a silent transition from importer to manufacturer. Besides solar plants, the Adani Mundra plant also manufactures wind turbines. And that's why Mundra is playing a crucial role in the Khavda plant. Wind turbines aren't even going to be imported in this world's largest renewable energy park. All the wind turbines for the entire project will be supplied from Mundra. And this step will transform India from an assembler to an innovator, not motivationally, but structurally. Let me explain. We Indians completely misunderstand the concept of innovation. We think innovation means some genius idea. Innovation means fast feedback loops. The idea is to take action, receive data feedback, implement the feedback, and have the next version ready.
Yep. Like I said, with nuclear power, it just takes utilizing it and proving on it. And that's the thing, like India has a habit of just like it did with pharmaceuticals. It got the drugs, deconstructed the drugs, and then recreated them cheaper, more efficiently for mass production. Mass production. It just makes more sense. It just makes more sense. You always need to streamline a project. Streamline a project so it makes it better the next time around. So when solar panels need to be replaced, you can easily just replace it with a much better one the next time. a much better one the next time. It's a constant loop because, again, even if you do build it, it needs to be sustained, it needs to be repaired, it needs to be patched up because things do go bad and you do need to get treatment for it. If you're treating it like a body, sometimes you need to get treatment for it. So you need to replace a panel here and there. You'll need to replace a robotic cleaner here and there as their components go bad, because they are also you have those robots literally rolling over the sand, but the thing is like the sand is going to get in the mechanism and the machinery and destroy that machine over time. So it will need replacements, and hopefully the replacement will just be much better. Who knows? Maybe the replacement will be like 4 times bigger that actually does more. Who knows? Who knows?
Faster this loop spins, the faster our innovation becomes. But this is only possible when we have control over the supply chain, manufacturing, logistics, control room, maintenance, transmission, and data feedback, all the critical elements of that loop.
And
All
they
the critical
all
elements of
communicate.
that loop. Boy. And when this happens, Dottie, the country doesn't just produce products, but creates innovative capabilities that constantly spread and compound. And that's why Khavda will accelerate the innovation loops of many Indian industries. Clearing energy and technology-related infrastructural bottlenecks is what makes Khavda truly important. This is what makes Khavda
AI.
truly important. Khavda's real miracle isn't installing 60 million solar panels, but rather daring to build a full-fledged energy ecosystem in a hostile desert. A joint civilizational gamble that may well become the heartbeat of powering India's next decade.
Yeah, the AI wasn't that great. Or not the AI. The auto dubbing was not that great. But that is fascinating. The power, the solar power, because there is potential there. But I still think nuclear. We haven't even tapped into the potential of nuclear energy, because when people hear nuclear, they get afraid. It's the N word apparently. Solar panels are not that reflective. Cooking up birds seems impossible. It's happened. It's happened. It is designed to absorb as much heat as possible. Well, yeah. They're supposed to. They're supposed to absorb as much sunlight as possible in order to actually get as much benefit from the panels. Get as much benefit from the panels as possible. That's what it's supposed to do. So it makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. I mean, I like that. I like that. That was enjoyable because seeing the potential, and like I've constantly said, like India's fast forwarding its first world problems is just crazy. Is just crazy. But at the same time, it's gonna cause so many issues because it's fast forward its first world problems. It's going to get so many benefits from it and so many problems from it. So many problems from it. But do the problems outweigh the benefits, or are the benefits more positive? I think it'll take more for people to educate and discipline their own children than for society and have them remain off social media, because social media is a poison. Because in the end, going down the first world route, you end up with a lot of toxic poison online. And I love the fact that India is pushing more of its progress so quickly, so freaking quickly. Because what is it? Is it by 2030 or no, 2050? 2050, India had like the end goal plan, plan. But I gotta say that is I like seeing different sources of power other than oil, because like the US's over reliance on oil is just insane. And those people who drive like electric vehicles, that is even run by oil, because we need to burn fossil fuels in order to have the energy to power electric vehicles. So there actually is a loss there, because when you burn something to convert it for another power source, there is a loss. That's why when you put the oil, like gasoline directly in the car, it has a little more than, well, what it takes for an electric vehicle. But hopefully over time things will change. Things will absolutely change. But the efficiency is still very low. Yeah, of course it would be. Of course it would be. Most like why people don't use hydropower, too low. Solar power, too low. Wind turbines, that's not hydro, right? That's I don't know what kind of power sources is wind. There's a power solar or hydro solar. I don't know what the wind one is, but there's like the nuclear, there's fossil fuels, there's so many different kinds, like coal. But I think we need to move out to something that's more consistent, and sunlight is consistent. Absolutely. I mean, I still personally believe like there would be something to be said about having something in space that creates energy that is literally a battery that's dropped down on, like, it'll constantly have energies, especially now that SpaceX has the rockets that can go up in space and come back down and land without actually having to, you know, destroy itself, which is amazing. So we could literally have like a batteries being sent up into space, charged in space, and then brought back down. Kinetic energy. Thank you. But yeah, there's so many different kinds, but we haven't even, like, the problem is too many people have tried and it's not working fast enough that the money moves on to something else. And that's the problem. A lot of people who are invested in it, if they don't have the financial backing to, let's say there's a scientist who wants to work on kinetic or hydro or whatever, if there's not enough money to dedicate toward this scientist to and engineer to make it actually work, then the engineer can't follow their passion to make it better for public consumption. No, it has to be shut down because it's not working. And the problem right now is everyone wants like immediate results. Dyson sphere, I mean, that would be cool. But I doubt that'd be I doubt that. But I just mean like something in space, because it'd be far more energy to create something in space. Far easier due to the no gravity, due to a lot of that. But you do need that resistance in order to create energy, because if there is no resistance, then there is no energy being processed. Yeah, I find that fascinating.
You guys got a video? So bad.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Wait like that.